Hey guys, LevelCap here. Today I've got some gameplay with the PP-2000. We're going to be unlocking the Mastery Dog Tag with this weapon. In order to get a Mastery Dog Tag, you have to have 500 kills with any specific weapon, and I'm sort of on a quest here to get my Mastery Tags with every single primary weapon in the game. Now the PP-2000 is definitely a very cool looking submachine gun. It was designed in Russia. I believe it was first displayed around 2004, and it's basically designed to be a very small personal defense weapon that you can carry on your person easily, and is intended exclusively for close quarter combat, specifically riot police and special operations forces in Russia. Now, a very cool thing that this weapon can do in real life, which isn't exactly replicated in Battlefield 3, is that it has the option to use a stock that is actually a 44 round magazine. So if you're on your last magazine, you can take the stock off of the gun and put it in the weapon, and it's got 44 rounds in it. Now when you use extended rounds for this gun in Battlefield 3, you can hold up to 40 rounds. I think it would have been cool if they had just paid a little bit more attention to detail and given you 44 rounds when you use the extended mags in Battlefield 3. I'm sure it probably would have been a little too complicated to make it so that your last magazine for this weapon was your extremely long magazine. That would have been a little too hard to figure out how to work that into the coding with this game, but still, it is neat that when you use extended mags, you get such a high ammo pool with this weapon. Now that being said, you're going to see me running with the suppressor here the entire time, and that's because, frankly, this gun just isn't that effective to the point where I want to stay off the mini-map and surprise my foes as opposed to take them head on, because the gun fires extremely slow. It does 25 damage per shot, which is nice, but it has a very high, very quick drop off, so long range targets are you're not gonna be hitting them for very much damage. So you want to try and get in close quarters as much as possible with this weapon, and the only way I found to do that effectively was to use the suppressor. Believe me, it is very hard trying to make that trade-off of sacrificing an extra 20 rounds per magazine versus having a suppressor, especially when this gun doesn't have the fastest reload time in the world, being 2.45 seconds for the short reload time. That's going to make it very difficult in close quarters. Sometimes you gotta really just try and down somebody with your first 10 shots, use your next 10 shots to down a second person before you hit that reload, or at least just get really used to switching to your sidearm. The cool feature about this gun is that you can actually attach a laser sight and suppressor at the same time, and I was practicing that a little bit. You'll see me using it more later in the game to give me better hipfire accuracy, and the PP-2000 does have extremely good hipfire accuracy. If you put a suppressor on here and a laser sight, you can shoot from the hip all day, and if you carry a suppressed sidearm, you can basically stay off the mini-map altogether, which is a great strategy. As you'll see here, I was managing to out-damage a lot of top players using M16s, just using the suppressor, sneaking around the map, getting my sneaky little kills. Now, the damage drop-off and rate of fire for this weapon are pretty extreme, meaning that your damage per second is just on the abysmally low side. So if you go face-to-face with anybody with a high rate of fire weapon, you're going to lose that firefight, unless it's, of course, like a PP-19. But other than that, anybody with an assault rifle or carbine is going to out-damage you very, very quickly. The damage drop-off drops all the way off to 13.75 damage at 50 meters, which is not particularly good. You can kill people at range with this weapon, and luckily it has very, very low recoil, so you can land your shots at range, but still, it's just not an effective weapon at range. You want to try and avoid ranged engagements at all costs, so playing on close quarter infantry heavy maps is the ideal way to use this weapon. And I've switched over to using the laser sight here on no-shot canals, which means I'm going to get a lot of close quarter action. I can use my hipfire as frequently as possible. And frankly, if you're trying to get hundreds of kills with this gun to unlock your mastery tags, well, you're probably going to have to do a little bit of no-shot canal kill farming. It's a good way to rank up guns. It's a good way to get kills. I have a feeling why this server is still so popular, or servers playing no-shot canals team deathmatch are so popular, because it's probably one of the fastest ways in the game to just simply get points and get kills. And as you can see here, everybody just seems to be running around me. They have no idea I'm here because I'm using a suppressed weapon, and nobody can simply figure it out. They don't look around, except for this guy here who tries to get some easy knife kills, but that kind of backfires on him. But the suppressor, again, for team deathmatch, I can't think of any other environment where suppressor's more effective. If you're playing in Rush or Conquest, I find Suppressor becomes far less effective because you're almost always running with other people who are not using suppressed weapons, so the enemy's already looking for bad guys in your general direction if your teammates are firing off their guns. So unless you can coordinate with your squad and get your entire squad in a game of Rush or Conquest to use suppressed weapons, then I just don't find it quite as useful. Team Deathmatch, on the other hand, it becomes very useful. Now, one of the unfortunate things about Battlefield 3 weapon balance, or at least the weapon classification system, is that guns like the PP-2000, I think, make a lot of sense in terms how the damage output is, but when you compare it to something like an M16A3, even if you put like a suppressor on the M16, there just really is no reason to use the PP-2000. Sure, you're seeing me kind of like destroy people with it right now, but I will say it's a lot harder using this weapon than your just average assault rifle, average fast reloading assault rifle. It would be very interesting to see if in Battlefield 4 they took some of the PDWs and either let you run some interesting combinations where you could have them as sidearms. Maybe the Recon class could have a bolt-action sniper rifle as a primary and some sort of small PDW as a sidearm, like an Uzi, an MP7, a PP-2000, one of those extremely small PDWs. It would be very interesting to see if there's some sort of way to set up your class where you could have your secondary weapon, your sidearm, sacrifice the pistol in exchange for one of these guns. I'm sure you'd have to sacrifice something else, or it would only be class specific, but it would still be very cool to have that kind of combination to empower one of the classes out there. Now, it's already been confirmed that the Engineer is the only class that is going to get access to the PDW class of weapons, which means that they're going to get the cool new Scorpion gun and all that sort of stuff. But they'll also be able to get access to carbines, because I believe carbines are also now a universal weapon. It's going to be really weird to see what's going on with the weapon system in the new Battlefield 4 game, and if PDWs are really going to have a place or a major role to play. We'll have to see how they're going to balance them out, because as much as I like them in Battlefield 3, I don't think that they're particularly effective when you're given the option to use simply a carbine or an assault rifle in place. You can always stick a laser sight or a suppressor on an assault rifle and sort of emulate some of the silent mechanics from these lighter weapons. I've said it before, but weapon size just really doesn't play a factor in most video games. You have a giant lumbering machine gun, which would be very hard to take indoors and work around corners and be tactical with it. It's kind of a weapon that you need to place down somewhere long range and just guard an alley with it, as opposed to running and gunning, which in real life a PDW would be very effective for. So they haven't really created any mechanics in the game yet that can kind of simulate the advantages that smaller, lighter weapons have over these heavier, encumbering weapons, and I'm hoping to see more of that in BF4. And here we go, finally got it, the Mastery dog tag, but you know what, I gotta finish out the round. I'm not just gonna quit out of the game, because frankly I'm having a darn good round and I want to see how I do compared to all these elite guys using their AEKs and M16s and M416s. It's nice to actually be able to go up against these guys with a suppressed weapon with a little laser sight on it, 20 rounds in a mag, and crappy damage at range, being able to actually outplay them. Now, I would love to see the PP-2000 come back in Battlefield 4. In fact, I'd love to see all the guns come back in Battlefield 4. We've already kind of established that it's very easy to transfer weapons between the two games. The engines are similar enough where you can just copy and paste weapon animations, weapon models, that sort of thing. So I'd still love to see the PP-2000 in Battlefield 4, but perhaps give it some nice deserved upgrades. For example, if you watch the reload process on here, the little magazine goes into the handle of the weapon. It's identical to a pistol reload, except they give you a fast reload of 2.45 seconds and a long reload of 3.45 seconds, which is absolutely insane for a weapon that's intended for close quarters and has such an easy reload mechanic in general. Anyway, that wraps it up for this Mastery dog tag video. I've listed in the video description the guns that I still need to get Mastery dog tags on. Let me know in the comments which one you'd like me to do next. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. This is LevelCap, signing off.